Okay, and I'm not looking at the camera.
You're not looking at the camera.
Okay.
Right over there.
I just wish I could come here every day and see everybody, but unfortunately I have to work.
This church was established as a Sunday school in 1909 and met there for some years in a home up by the fire station, a new community in those days.
You'd come up Waialae, which was paved and nice, but the streets leading in to Kaimuki were just cow pasture lanes until cars, and then they started putting in the sidewalks and so forth.
It moved to the Queen Liliuokalani School, which was built in 1912, and so it was a Sunday school through the years.
The Sunday school was wonderful. We all met, adults, children, everything. We had an open assembly, first of all.
That led to organizing a church in 1923, and the first structure, a wooden structure, was erected in 1924.
There was a time when this church nearly died. They considered selling the property and giving it to the Salvation Army. But they thought they'd call the Gallaghers and see if they could give it one more shot.
My parents believed God was leading them in this direction, and we moved over here in January of 1961. The congregation at that time had 33 adults and a couple hundred children in the Sunday school. As the 60s moved on, more and more adults were brought into the church. And it got to the point that the church building that was erected in 1924 had become termite infested and was also too small to hold the growing congregation. So the decision was made to build a new building.
And what they did to build that first new worship center, the sacrifices they made, it was a much smaller membership at that time.
And in 1970, July 1st, we had our first service. Not in this side of the building, it wasn't here, but the original half of the building over to the side of where I'm sitting now.
I became the senior pastor here in 1993, and it was shortly after that that I had reached out to Norman Hong saying, we got to grow. How can we get more people in this worship center?
And I did a sketch and I gave it to Pastor Ron after the service, and that sort of triggered the design direction, and so we developed the design.
We, as a congregation, moved forward to build this present worship center in 1998. We made a commitment. It was going to be $2.2 million. That's a lot of money for the size congregation we were, but we asked people to tell us what they would give us. Beyond their tithes and offerings for the next 3 years, came in at $2.2 million.
Gene Smith is one of the elders. He had a 1969 beautiful old Jaguar E-Type, and he loved that car, and he actually helped rebuild it. And so what he did, he sold that car and gave the funds towards the worship center expansion. I mean, that is a kind of sacrifice that so many members did at that time.
Every time I walk through the doors, I feel like I belong, and everybody knows everybody, and I feel like part of the family.
Cal was one of the first greeters with his big smile, great friendly handshake, and just his genuineness really drew us in.
It's still the warm, friendly church that it always was.
What I really liked about Kaimuki Christian Church is it's not just about attending. I wanted to go beyond attending. I wanted to be part of it.
It's inter-ethnic, intergenerational, across the social, economic classes.
The children's program is great.
The children's ministry is growing so big that the space cannot hold all the children that love to come, and that the youth ministry is also growing so big that the fellowship hall cannot hold them.
Youth ministry is pretty cool. Not pretty cool, it's awesome.
The men's ministry, I'm excited about where we are today, and also I'm more excited about where we're going.
40% of the students that come to Kaimuki Christian School are from non-church families. Not only are we seeing children come to the Lord, but parents become interested and start checking us out.
One time I'd walked around the block in the mid-90s with a friend from the mainland, and I just showed him all the properties on the block. There were 8 properties that did not belong to us as a church. We were landlocked. But I said, I just believe this is God's vision for us, that we would occupy this block as a base for ministry, for reaching out from here to the ends of the earth.
And now we have 6 properties, and we're looking forward to just redeveloping this whole property for the church. And it's really exciting because we see God's hand in it.
We've always had a strong missionary program, but now we're the missionaries, and people are reaching people, their neighbors and their friends, and bringing them. And that's my vision for this church. Yeah, these properties and buildings are important, but you know what? We know it only houses the vision to reach people with the good news of Jesus Christ. That's what's happening.
We had all the various stakeholder groups, starting from the youth to the school to the seniors, and we brought them in different sessions and asked them to dream what they see the future of Kaimuki Christian Church and School would be. They came up with ideas, and we just put them all on the walls, had them all written down, and then with that list we came up with what we call the master plan for the block, and it incorporated pretty much everything that people had wanted. For example, where the current parking lot is now, that would become the central amphitheater, a garden space where people could gather, we could have events there. The current fellowship hall downstairs, we would turn that into a coffee shop bookstore, not only for the members and the youth, but also so that they could invite their friends, and their friends would be comfortable coming to this place. You know, we have the school that would incorporate not only the elementary and middle school that we currently have, but even a high school that focuses on service. We've incorporated a parking structure. We know how critical parking is. We also incorporated a gymnasium on the top of the parking structure. That's going to really help attract the youth, as well as opportunities for our members to participate together in those kinds of activities.
Part of our vision is about building a home on this block to serve our community and house our growing family. So there's going to be sacrifice as we move forward, and that transforms us. It did in 1998. It will again as we move toward the master plan. That's a huge undertaking. There's no way we can do it without God and His provision.
You know, we're building, this master project, but it's for the very reason that we hope to extend that love, acceptance, and forgiveness to everybody in this community and worldwide.
So we see a big future, something big that God is doing, has done in the past, and will do in the future as we look to Him.